Job searching is already stressful enough and oftentimes feels like a second job to search and apply for positions. In the current job market and AI being used in the recruiting process, it's not helping us find a job in 2026 with all the countless layoffs that are happening. Me personally, for 2026, I'm looking to make a job change. And just like in the past for me, I'm looking to switch companies in hopes for higher pay. But it's not as easy to just cold apply anymore. And so far, coming out of the holidays and into the first couple of weeks into the new year, I'm already using LinkedIn to make new connections, find networking events to sign up for, and I've already warm applied to a few positions that have turned into some scheduled interviews. I don't want people to sleep on LinkedIn because it is the best job searching tool out there right now. And make sure you notice that I said for job searching, the actual content people post on LinkedIn, it's pretty cringe in my opinion. But most of the stuff that I see, it's like a sales bro talking about how he went to his son's basketball game and his son missed all the shots that he attempted. And it reminded him that in sales, it's okay to miss all the shots when nobody wants to buy your product. Then later on in his LinkedIn post, he has a link to schedule a meeting with him, throw some time on his calendar so he can give you a sales pitch. The LinkedIn cringe is a topic for another time, but I want to focus on how to use LinkedIn to turbocharge your job search. So first off, you need to stop cold applying to jobs. Cold applying, that worked in the past, like back in 2020 when companies were hiring like crazy. You could literally just throw your resume out there and you were bound to get some bites. But nowadays, companies are using AI and their ATS, which is their applicant tracking system, just tracking every single person that's applying to the job and just going through the whole life cycle till an actual offer is given out to candidates. Those ATSs, those are using AI as well to screen resumes. And like it really is hard to beat the bots. All it's really doing is trying to do some keyword matches on like the descriptions and just certain parts of your resume. The experience level that you have in your resume doesn't match the actual job description of what they're looking for. And like previous company alignment, if the previous companies that you worked at were in the same industry or like the same niche as the company that you're applying for, essentially it's just ranking you and giving you a score how well your resume matches up to the job description, which a lot of the times it might not be a 100% match. So you really have to have multiple resumes optimized for specific types of jobs that you want. And what I mean by that is you might be like a software engineer, but if you're applying to, let's say, like data positions as well, you'd be fine doing a pivot to like data or even project management. You would have multiple resumes for those jobs. So when you actually apply, your resumes are tailored to those specific skills that those jobs are looking for. And cold applying is a terrible numbers game too. I've seen posts about people applying to hundreds of jobs or even thousands of jobs, and they're only getting a call back from like a handful of companies. Obviously, you want to have the highest success rate that you could possibly can. At that point, you're just wasting so much time cold applying to jobs just to get that automated rejection email. But if you are going to cold apply, at least put a little effort in. Use ChatGPT or some other AI tool to actually compare the job description to your resume to see if you'd be a good fit. So you could easily just go on like ChatGPT, paste the job description in, and then also upload your resume or just paste your resume in and ask it to give you essentially a rating. Similar to how like these ATSs would work as it's screening your resume. How well does your resume match the keywords, experience level for the job description? And that should be a good enough indicator. If you're getting like an 80% score from ChatGPT, maybe you should just apply and see what happens. But cold applying aside, this brings me to my second point, and use LinkedIn as an actual social media platform that it was built for. You have to put yourself out there, actually talk to people, actually make those connections, introduce yourself to people within your industry or just people with similar interests as you, and think of job hunting as sales, and you're really just trying to sell yourself. That's the way that I think about it. I have a certain skill set that I'm trying to market myself as the best at, and really trying to convince companies why my skill set and how my skill set can contribute to their business objectives, why they need to hire me to essentially, perform the responsibilities and the job, descriptions that they are hiring for. So really, as a job searcher, appropriately find the jobs that you're interested in or companies that you're interested in. Find people at that company and make an introduction to them and make it personal. When you create an introduction message, Ask, questions about their current experience that you saw from their profile. Actually say their name and try to, hop on a quick call if possible. There's so many times where I've gotten like just copy and paste introduction messages. I'll throw those away. It doesn't feel personal. It feels like this person is just trying to, quickly spam out a bunch of messages to, make quick connections and see like where they can like land at. And then also see if it actually leads to a referral. A lot of the times, employees at different companies, they can refer you as a external candidate. So for my company, for example, I can generate unique referral links and share that with like family or whoever, right? And they can apply through my link, and that's all being tracked through like the ATS. So they know who I'm actually, referring when somebody actually applies using my link. And as you're browsing the LinkedIn job postings, there's some postings that have a section that tell you who the hiring manager is or who the recruiter is who posted the job posting. And if you feel like you're a strong candidate for that position, it's a no-brainer to send the hiring manager or the recruiter a message. Tell them, why you feel like you're a strong candidate, highlight some of the stuff on your resume, and just make that introduction. Make it a warm application right after you apply. Don't just apply and then walk away. It kind of reminds me about my first ever job where I was working at a grocery store. I walked into the store, I went to the little computer kiosk to submit my application, filled out all the questions, and at that point, I could have easily just walked out of the store, but I went up to the front desk after I submitted my application. I asked if I could just talk to a manager, and I talked to a manager just for like 5 minutes to talk about, who I was, what I was trying to do with this job, just make some side money, and then, go through college. And literally the next day after, speaking to one of the managers at the store, I walked out of the store. Then the next day they called me up, scheduled an interview. So it's important to make those connections and put a face to an application. And going back to the social media aspect of LinkedIn, if you do find yourself scrolling through the content on LinkedIn, feel free to comment on people's posts, engage, make it seem like you're pretty active on LinkedIn, or maybe even provide feedback to some people's posts. You never know who's looking at the comment section. Maybe a recruiter notices, or maybe even a hiring manager notices. If you're like commenting, technical analysis on somebody's like, post about like a coding problem that they're facing, just something along those lines, it does look like you're more engaged and like you're willing to help out, which, is always a benefit working in a corporate environment. And my last point, being able to optimize your LinkedIn profile. This comes in handy when recruiters are looking for people and using LinkedIn as like a search engine when they're trying to find people for positions that they're recruiting for. Treat your profile like a landing page that recruiters are going to go to and they're just going to scan it. Recruiters are not going to read word by word each section of your LinkedIn profile. That is just not time efficient for them. Optimize the headline that is on your profile for SEO essentially. Treat it as like searching keywords. What stands out on your headline, that'll stand out to recruiters. So you can put your job title there, or the role that you previously had, or the role that you're looking for, and then some of your top skills and what you do best. So for example, you could put like a data scientist separated with your skills as pandas or, Snowflake, whatever data analytic tools are hot on the market. And then you could also separate that again by saying, you help create data-driven business decisions, which pretty much every single company is trying to do, is make business decisions and how to move the business forward. And then you can optimize the about section. Just keep it short with a couple of sentences of what actually matters most. Keep it to like the technologies that you used, problems that you faced, and how you solved them, and what were those outcomes. And use short paragraphs for readability. Don't put any career history in that section. Recruiters can scroll down, look at your experience section for all of those details. And then optimize the experience section. I feel like there's a misconception where people put descriptions for each of the job they had, and they just put the responsibilities in the description. Recruiters don't care about your responsibilities that you had at previous jobs. They want to see the actual outcomes. Use numbers like hard, concrete numbers that you produced. So if you increased, time taken by 5 hours for a certain process, highlight that and what steps did you actually do to achieve that, and think about like what you changed at the company, and think about other processes that you improved. How can you put numbers behind the work that you actually did? And then you can also use keywords to help you in the search engine, but don't use it unnaturally where your profile is just filled with a bunch of buzzwords. So if you're filling out, descriptions for the previous jobs that you had, or if you're filling out your like about me section, just don't put random keywords in there like AI, ML, cloud computing. Like if you're going to use those technologies and things like that, you can easily just, put, cloud computing technologies used, AWS, Azure, and then figure out how you actually use those to achieve business objectives. So to close this video out, LinkedIn isn't just about using their job board to cold apply to positions like you might have done in the past with other job boards like Indeed or Monster, but really to leverage it being a social media platform for professionals. Don't beg for jobs. At the end of the day, these are companies looking to hire people that can help them make more money and make contributions in other ways. It's not a charity. The competition is tough, and many other people might share the same skills as you, but if you can learn how to leverage LinkedIn to its full potential and show how you are a strong candidate to new people you meet on LinkedIn or through highlighting your profile, your job search will be much easier.